Resident Evil 2 video game review. This is Sam, video game Sam right here. I'm going to talk about Resident Evil 2. This is an older video game from 1998. Came out a couple years after the first original Resident Evil game, both on PlayStation, created by Capcom. Resident Evil 2 was my favorite of all the Resident Evil games. I liked 1, 2, 3, and Code Veronica the best. I liked all the classic games a lot more than the newer ones. I did not like Resident Evil Outbreak. I thought it was a complete joke, and that actually is probably what ruined the whole um, Capcom's approach to the original playstyle, was because they created the awful Resident Evil Online / Resident Evil Outbreak games, and that is what changed it to go in the direction of Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6. Um, 4 was actually pretty good, but um, I'll talk about that another time. Let's go back to Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2 is a very good game. You have to play the game. You have to actually beat the game twice in order to fully beat it. You either start the game as Leon Kennedy, a police officer in Raccoon City, or you start as Claire Redfield, a young female who's looking for her brother Chris. Chris is the one of the protagonists from the first game. It takes place a couple months after the events in Resident Evil 1. Remember, the events in Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, and Code Veronica all happened within 1998, between July and December. Um, this Resident Evil 2 takes place in September of 1998 of that year. Um, so it's the Umbrella Corporation saga really takes place in Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, and Code Veronica. So, Resident Evil 2, you control either Leon or Claire um, from uh, from the beginning. You choose either way. There's either way you have to play one or the other in both scenarios. And you fight similar bosses in both, but in the B scenario you have to not only fight William Birkin at times, but you also have to fight um, Mr. X, who is a Tyrant series monster, kind of like the Tyrant in the at the end of the first game. So what's interesting about this game is that you actually play the game twice, and you get to see the game from different angles and from different perspectives from each character, and that is really what makes 2 unique. From sets it apart from all the Resident Evil games, is that you, it's not like it's an alternative game. You're actually playing the same events, just in different as different people, and that's what makes it so interesting. So the story is not bad. Resident Evil it's pretty interesting if this is your first survival horror game. Um, you want to kind of learn more about the Umbrella Corporation as you're playing it. You want to know who's behind the events in Raccoon City. Eventually, you do learn that it was William Birkin, who was a scientist for Umbrella. Um, he was researching the new G virus that he was hiding from the main research team there, and Umbrella kills him, and then he revives. When he's about to die, he revives himself by injecting himself with the virus. And that causes him to become the G monster, um, and then subsequently um, attacks the Umbrella Alpha Team. And Alpha Team drops the vials of T virus, in which as they escape through the sewers before they get killed, except for um, one officer named Hunk. The T virus gets ingested by rats, which then spread the virus to the city. So they do it pretty good, and the different perspectives is pretty interesting. So William Birkin is the main antagonist of Resident Evil 2, as the G monster. He's not really in control of himself. He's just mutated into a really huge thing that mutates throughout the game. Um, the A scenario is a little easier than the B scenario, of course. Uh, you have to pick up the same puzzle items throughout the game. They're in different spots for each scenario, and everything's slightly different if you do Leon A or Claire B. The game technically is canonically correct with Claire A, Leon B. So starting as Claire and then choosing then Leon's scenario being B is actually what story-wise Capcom wanted. The Leon A, Claire B is actually not directly canonical. Um, but it really doesn't matter which way you play it because the difficulty is the same. Um, so Resident Evil 2 is really good. It's got pretty decent graphics for the time. It's like 1998. Can't really expect much. It's uh, it's 3D. It's not like OpenGL or anything, so it's kind of looks grainy, but you can't really expect much. It's the ambience of the game is really dark. It's got nice backgrounds, dark backgrounds, good good music score. Actually, really good music score. Capcom has pretty good music. Um, it's pretty decent. I like the I personally like the older style of Resident Evil more than the newer style. But I mean that's just me. So Resident Evil 2.